Witchy and Weird podcast. Hello, Witchy and Weird. I'm here for the first installment of Lunar Forecast, which will be a monthly look into the stars, the planets, the cosmos, the energies of what's going to be coming up from a full lunar cycle. And so I'm here with two awesome people. So first, we have as the head honey in charge of MysticHoney Co, Autumn Tai, aka Daisy, pronoun she, her, specializes in tarot, oracle reading, candle making, reiki healing, and all things creatrix. She creates intimate and ethereal custom intention candles for all your spell working, manifesting needs, and provides potent channeled messaging through her readings. Hello, Autumn slash
Hello.
Daisy. I'll remember to call you Daisy. I know Autumn
I
from
mean,
college.
we've been friends for 900 years, so like it doesn't even matter at this point. You could call me Toast, and I'd be like, yeah.
Okay. That's what you are in my phone, so.
You do. So
And then we have Bre the Malefic, who blends ancient astrology with the modern world to help clients experience more joy, peace, and fulfillment. Bre offers personal and professional development to spiritually aligned and awakening entrepreneurs with in-person and online astrology, tarot, and psychic readings. Hello, Bre. And your pronouns are also she, her, right? Yes.
They are, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm really excited for this new thing. So what are we doing? What is the lunar forecast? We're going to be covering the major lunation cycles and things going on from this episode will be from June 28th to July 28th. And I'm really excited to get into it. So Bre is like our resident astrologer and Autumn does like energy, numerology stuff that will like tie in. So if you want to take it away, Bre, what's the first thing? Obviously, tomorrow is a big thing, but yeah.
Yes. So the major planetary stuff and major lunations to look for from June 28th to July 28th, we are seeing five planets changing signs. So these are energetic shifts. We're moving out of one phase into another. We see two new moons or new beginnings and new lunar cycles. Then we see two planets going retrograde, so giving us perspective changes and opportunities to really slow down and show how much we've grown. And then one full moon to tie it all in so we can shed what no longer serves us and really complete the first lunar cycle of 2022. And this really all begins with a new moon in Cancer on June 28th. And that new moon in Cancer is going to have really the whole collective in their feels. And we're going to be confronting like what is and isn't working for us. And this might be a little difficult to accept, but change is coming either way. So we have to really come to terms with the fact that we either have to move with it or we have to get left behind when that change does happen. And then on the 28th as well, we have one of those two planets going retrograde happening on the same day as the new moon. So extra potent energy. Neptune is going to be stationing retrograde, which is the planet of dreams and imagination. So typically retrograde will flip the meaning of that planet. And because Neptune is very, very internal, we're then looking outward. So do our dreams really match and align with our reality? And if not, how can we help bring those two together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some good stuff. So let's talk about the Cancer moon first. I feel like most people are seeing 20 posts on Instagram at this point about it. I love that you brought up, it's like an ending of a cycle. Do you want to like talk a little bit more about that cycle?
Yes. So the new moon in Cancer, this is going to begin. We'll have to look back in Capricorn season in 2023. So a full lunar cycle or a full lunation will go from the new moon in that sign to the full moon in that sign. So the new moon in Cancer on June 28th is we're going to be in our fields and whatever we're going to be working on to break that cycle from June 28th is going to go until January 28th. So then the full moon that we see happening, that is on July 13th. And that is the full moon in Capricorn, because during Capricorn season in January, there was the new moon in Capricorn. So this full moon in Capricorn is really going to allow us to not only shed what no longer serves us, but look back at the past 6 months and really see, okay, have we really been moving forward and working on the things that we need to work on, or have we been, hiding behind these revelations and these things that have become clear to us over the past 6 months? Like, do we feel like things are happening to us or around us, or are we actually doing something with the information that we've received throughout this time?
So Autumn, what do you feel like the energy is going to be like for this?
Well, first and foremost, like, it is the ending of a cycle. The month of June in general is a 6. 6s are all about reflecting and assessing. So we're at the end of the halfway point of 2022, which means that we have spent half of the year doing things and they may or may not have worked. So it's time to kind of go back, reassess, restructure, and replan. And with the new moon, plant those seeds that we want to come to fruition within the next 6 months for the next lunar cycle of the year. Now, I did pull the new moon in Cancer card out of my Moonology deck. And it does say you and your loved ones are safe. Of course, Cancer being a very nurturing and loving, compassionate type of sign, it's also very good to look into seeing the people who have also helped you as you reflect, and bringing those people into the new energy as well, bringing those people along with you, and of course, getting rid of the people who haven't, just because we're constantly moving in these cycles. And you could be like, I don't really want this anymore. And I don't want the end of my year to be filled with drama or whatever. So it's definitely our time to kind of look, reassess, and really pull out the nuggets from the first half of the year that worked for us and kind of take what we need and move forward.
I love that. Yeah. And for those like maybe who are new to this, the new moon is a time when we're, like you said, planting seeds, kind of creating plans, thinking about reflecting on what we want to grow and what we want to change. And like the full moon is more like assessing if we did that during the from the new moon to the full moon, but also like, what can we shed? What are we releasing? That's more of like a releasing time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've also heard you can, if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have my stuff together by the time this comes out, you can do it for like 3 days before, 3 days after type of thing. So
definitely
in that energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. It's the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. So for example, for the new moon that's happening on June 28th, the moon moves into Cancer that morning, and then we have the new moon that night. So you absolutely can still hang on to that energy. A lot of times, if you're doing any self-care, any spell work, anything that specifically calls on that specific moon phase and sign, that's really when you're going to see maybe different effects or different results. But if you're looking to journal or, do something new for yourself or release something around new or full moons, absolutely still doing it within before or after that time is perfect.
Yeah. And let's see. So what's like the main, what are we focusing on for this energy? Is it just like feelings or?
Boy, I mean, yes, feelings, Cancer, obviously a lot of feelings. Water signs, a lot of feelings, all of us. I myself am a Pisces, a lot of feelings.
Love it.
So water signs, yes, it is a lot of feelings, but it's also in the essence of kind of clearing and raising those feelings and kind of actually working through and feeling them. Because a lot of the time we're in go mode. It's go, 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 go. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to get to the next step. I have to get to the next thing. And the energy is really calling on you to chill out, just calm down, feel whatever you need to feel, because those feelings are going to propel you where you need to go. And you might not even think that you feel a certain way about something until you actually take stock and say, hey, I actually feel this way about it. So like being really compassionate to yourself. I did pull another card out of my Prism Oracle, and it was sweetness. Of course, being compassionate to yourself, being loving to yourself, being loving to the people in your lives that deserve it. We are going to be that deserve it, because there are some people that have to go, and that's okay. But being slow, being still, and being in that kind of sweetness of environment, because it does pave way for kind of the other two things that came up. We have creativity. So the new moon being a time to plant seeds of new ideas, new journeys, new structures would be creativity, but also we have determination. And coming out of this moon cycle kind of refreshed and ready to get a jump start on the next half of the year by kind of purging out those feelings that have taken up a little bit too much space.
Yeah. And also like all the stuff that's going on right now, we just had like Roe versus Wade get overturned. Like there's so many feelings, so many emotions that are high right now. So like really bring in that energy of like being sweet with yourself. Like if you don't do something and you're like, I don't know what to do, I always get overwhelmed. Or if you're planning on doing something really crazy, like try and boil it down, try and do something really simple but intentional. Like for me, I'm a Cancer, so like taking a bath is going to be like an easy thing for me. I'm in my element, I'm caring for myself, and then I can just like be with the water and cry and no one will know because I'm in the water.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Door closed, dog can't get in, cat can't get in. No, it's just me in the bathroom with my sad songs and my tears.
Exactly.
Yeah, so giving yourself space, like put some time on your schedule intentionally, just like crying time, literally just call it like crying time, whatever my body needs to express time. Like this is about feeling it and not understanding it, not logically putting words to it, just being in those emotions.
Maintenance crying, that's what I call it. I schedule my maintenance cry.
I love that. That's like I feel like that makes it feel like productive. It's for maintenance.
Yes.
It's like my software update is me crying. My body is software update.
I freaking love that. That was me yesterday. I was like, well, it's 10 o'clock and I've cried twice today. So what else is coming?
What else can I do? I think it's funny too, because I think a lot of people like maybe those who don't know astrology, Cancer is an action-oriented sign. People forget this because they just associate Cancers with the mother, with gentle, like domestic, quote unquote, typically feminine gendered characteristics and traits, when it's like, okay, if we're taking that, which we don't, but if we're taking that, like, okay, you don't mess with a mother. One, you don't mess with a matriarch. Like that's the last person you want to piss off, and you piss that person off. Like you have such a wrath coming to you that you have no idea about. And I think that's always forgotten and about Cancers, is that like, as we're going through, as we're looking for that determination and that sweetness, determination to treat yourself and to make yourself feel as warm and as comforted as possible. Sometimes that's crying in the bathtub or making yourself something good to eat, but anything you can do to like take both of that sweetness and that determination, where you're determined to really make self-care a part of your routine, especially with this new moon in Cancer, I think is absolutely perfect for all of the shifting energies.
Yeah. Yeah. Stepping into like the nurturer, the mother, the crone, whatever term you identify with, the parental unit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So then you also talked about Jupiter, or was it Neptune going in retrograde tomorrow?
Neptune. Jupiter is also, that is the other planet. Yes, that is the other planet that's going retrograde. But yes, Neptune is going retrograde on the same day as the new moon is happening in Cancer, which, you want to talk about water. Neptune is in Pisces, and in Pisces is so abundant and knows no limits, knows no boundaries. And it's still going to be within Pisces throughout its retrograde. But as you have a planet going retrograde, like we experience with Mercury retrograde, those are moments where we're all kind of, as a collective, like, wait, what's happening? What's going on? We're a little mystified. So especially as this planet of dreams and imagination, like it is comfortable being mystified. So now it's like we're starting to get this clarity that we're like, wait a second, is this real? Is this really what's happening right now? Or am I dreaming? Is this really what's going on? And then you have to really confront that reality. It's like a reality check, where with Pisces, it's a much more gentle reality check. Like, it's like, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but this is what's happening, as opposed to like, if it was an Aries, it's like, boom, there it is. Mm-hmm. So the Neptune going retrograde is going to be definitely a soft awakening for us, that we're definitely going to feel for the better half of the second half of the year, I should say.
Yeah. So these planets retrograde a lot longer than Mercury.
Yes. So Mercury, it all has to do with how their orbits.
Yeah.
So Mercury, for example, goes retrograde 4 times a year, which is insane. Like, it's quarterly, right? You're like, wait, what? Yeah. It goes retrograde every 3 months. So it's insane. Which is why we all experience it much more intensely, because it's happening so often. Neptune is a generational planet. It takes decades to complete a full orbit. So that means that their retrograde cycles are that much more drawn out. The retrograde cycle is half of its full orbit. So for example, Mercury retrograde takes the actual retrograde is like a week and a half, even though it feels much longer because it's kind of going back and forth. But yeah, Neptune, we're going to be feeling it's much more collective as it is individual. We still may feel it individually depending on what other placements you have. Like Daisy mentioned, she's a Pisces, so she may feel that a little more strongly than me, a Capricorn. But as a whole, as a society, especially as Roe versus Wade just got overturned, like, we're seeing what other reality checks are going to be showing up and kind of rearing their heads as the year goes on.
Yeah. I feel like when you were talking about that, where it's like, it's reflected outward, does my environment match what I want? Like, this is exactly where we are in the US. Like, I've been saying for a while it hasn't been matching, but these things are really pushing it a little bit too far over the edge. Like, yeah, there's so much going on, and like potential for more stuff to be overturned, that I think, again, with astrology, it's like, you can't make this up. Like, I don't know what to say. Like,
yes. Yeah. There are so many astrologers too that say, hey, we'll stop believing in astrology when it stops being right like this. Like, it's almost like I would prefer it to be not so literal most of the time. And sometimes you're just like, good, like, this is just explicitly written in the stars, but also why? And ouch. Yeah. And this hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying this is like the worst timeline. Like, so many people have been saying we are now shifted into the worst timeline. How do we get back?
Yeah. It's astrologically, it's a lot. I like, even just looking I mean, astrologers are always like, we're always looking at just like, hey, what's going on? What's going to happen tomorrow? What about next year? What about 30 years from now? And, just helping somebody pick out a really good day to like launch a podcast or, post on their website. I'm like, can you wait a year by chance? Like, is there any way that date is flexible? Just because it's a lot of internal challenge, that even good growth and good challenge is still a lot to be dealing with. Mm-hmm. So even if this Neptune retrograde is going to be the best thing for us, change is still change. So it's still going to be confronting us, and we're going to have to deal with it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So busting some retrograde myths, I'd love to chat with you and then go in more into like what we can expect, how we can work with it. But I always get people who are like, I'm not making any decisions. Don't text me during retrograde. Don't this during retrograde. I mean, these are, like you said, a little bit more nuanced than a Mercury retrograde would be. But I think people just get scared of the change, or scared that they're going to have to look within or reassess and all that stuff. So I love to hear like both of your thoughts on like, what do you do during a retrograde? How do you work with it? Do you hide under a rock? Like, are you Patrick Star for like the next 6 months? Yeah, whoever wants to go.
I think for me, it's a lot of time where I kind of catch up on my personal spiritual hygiene specifically. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I don't do anything at all. I'm scared to go outside. Like, it's not like that. I mean, there are times where, like, of course, the classic Mercury retrograde gets in the way. This Mercury retrograde this year alone, I broke my coffee maker in the beginning. My coffee maker just wouldn't turn on at all. It was broken. And then I like shattered my coffee glass the same morning. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go back to bed and start over tomorrow, which is perfectly allowed. But I think that, like, for me personally, I take a lot of time to kind of cleanse my aura, cleanse my space, cleanse my energy, so that it's not as effective against me when I have those kind of protections up. So a lot of retrograde for me is working on cleansing myself and also keeping myself grounded so that I don't feel it as much and I feel like I can go do things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a very, like, for Western medicine, it's like we treat the symptoms, not the cause. We wait till there's something wrong to then find out we have something. And this is like the holistic, like non-Westernized, where it's like, I'm going to preemptively do this. I'm going to have a routine that's going to make it easier for me to go through and deal with all this stuff, as opposed to like, I'm going to wait until I'm having an argument with my partner and we're about to break up before I finally do something about this. Yeah. And you, Bre, any advice?
Yes. So I love what Daisy had just mentioned, because for retrogrades, that's really what a retrograde is all about, is taking care of ourselves. So when Mercury retrograde, it's interesting that you had mentioned that your coffee maker broke. This past retrograde for Mercury it started in Gemini, which is one of its rulers. It's where it's comfortable. But it can also affect, just because it's an air sign, like, can affect our technology. And so as you see your coffee maker going down, it's going into Taurus. So then you're like frustrated, like it's a whole thing. But it's interesting too, because something that, if you're not familiar with your birth chart, you may not know. Some people are born with Neptune retrograde or Mercury retrograde in their chart. So that means when Neptune stations retrograde, for some of us, we're going to be like, hey, does my reality align with my dreams? Whereas the people who may have Neptune retrograde already in their chart, for them, they're going to be like dreaming and off and feeling very whimsical and mystical. So how we've been feeling these past 6 months. So it really depends on your personal energy, how it's going to affect you. But I can say astrology really is all about patterns. So for example, most of those larger planets that take the generational planets, like we've got Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, these planets take much longer to orbit. So they usually all go retrograde at the same time. It's usually at the later half of the year. So Cancers, for example, starting Cancer season or in the middle of Cancer season, many people after that may have their Neptune retrograde. So this may actually be a really creative time for Cancers, Leos, Virgos, everybody out to really Capricorns, like December Capricorns. So this might be a time that is very intuitive and very creative. And for the rest, for the people born in the beginning of the year, this may be a time where, exactly like Daisy said, we're doing the inner work now. We're looking and saying, okay, how can we protect ourselves and make sure that we're not going beyond our means? And, the rest of the signs are like, okay, how can I expand? How can I reach out and really expand my horizons as opposed to staying in the confines of where they've previously been in the past 6 months?
And looking at this from like the political events that are going on, what can we do? Like, how can we capitalize, for lack of a better, now I feel like anytime I say capitalism, it's like it's like a dirty word now.
Yes.
How can we like capitalize on this? Because like you said, these are more communal, generational, like environmental. How can we capitalize on this energy? Like, is this more of like an internal personal thing that we're just making sure we're good so we can support the collective? Or is this more of like no, like, let's get out there and let's like make some change. Let's push really hard. Like, I know, like you said, it's different for everybody, but generally.
That's a really good question. So as Neptune, again, it's the planet of idealism, dream, like all of this ethereal stuff. Being in Pisces is typically one of the signs that handles everything beneath the surface. So as a collective politically, I can see Neptune retrograde. So the next half of this year, really things coming to the surface. So maybe more constructs that maybe most of us are aware of, like, oh, hey, capitalism doesn't actually work for everyone, or, things that we know and that we are like, we resonate with, but just coming to the masses, like, wait a second, you guys, I think there's a problem with our, student loan, like, crisis in this. And we're like, yeah, like, welcome. Did you have a nice slumber because you're just now waking up? So it could be that the collective is having this awakening, because with a planet like Neptune having no boundaries, really going into the depths, we're now bringing everything from the deep up to the surface. So this is a lot of like reality checks, a lot of perspective changes. So I think especially politically wise, I don't want to say we get creative. That's not the word I want to use in terms of things that have just happened, but maybe there are going to be things like, I was speaking with a few other astrologers. So, Roe versus Wade being overturned, maybe those people who, like I saw a few things on Twitter where it's like, hey, if, a congressman or someone in power had, they paid for your abortion, please name them here. So maybe, we're going to get more of that. Or like the secrets that are kept beneath the surface and that are trying to be hidden, of like, no, this isn't reality. Don't worry about it. This is not happening behind closed doors. It's going to be brought to the forefront and people are definitely going to see it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Less celebrity news stories, more political news stories.
Yes. Yes. And political stories of like, I thought that was happening the whole time. I'm so glad that that's just now confirming everything that I had thought. Very validating news stories.
Exposed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure all of us here would love to see the people being exposed. That's what we live for.
Chef's kiss.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'd love nothing more.
So what's coming up next? You said there was like 5 planets.
So many planets.
Around.
Yes. So that's on the 28th of June. Then once we move into July, we have Mars moving into Taurus. So Mars right now is in Aries, which if anybody exactly like, yes, let's go.
If it was
Mars,
one image.
it's this. Yes.
Literally.
Mars in Aries is like you're doing 95 on the highway. There are no cops around. You've got an iced coffee. Your favorite song is playing and you're like, this is the best. Like Mars in Aries cannot be stopped. But then Mars in Taurus, it's like you're doing 95 on the highway. You get off an exit and the exit is like, oh, it's actually a 25-mile-an-hour exit. So you now have to like slam on your brakes before you go literally off the rails. So it is a huge shift of energy where we've really been feeling like go, 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 go. Like we are moving 1,000,000 miles a minute. And if we aren't, we're feeling that like external pressure of like, why not? What more could I be doing? So then to have Mars, the planet of action, move into Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, the planet of love. We are having to really slow down and take a look at the whole journey as opposed to just the destination.
Yeah, I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm the one who doesn't know anything in this scenario. I've heard a lot of people refer to Saturn as daddy, but I've also seen some Mars stuff around daddy. So like, what is the planet of Mars? Like what, I know it's like action, right? Like we know like our Greek mythology, like God of War type stuff. So what is this going to bring for us? Like what kind of energy?
Oh, yes. Great question. So I always think like the way I describe Saturn and Mars's relationship. So my name, for example, I'm Bre the Malefic. The malefic planets in ancient astrology are Saturn and Mars. So those are the bad quote unquote planets because they bring so much challenge and trouble. And I'm just like ruled by both. So I'm just like, what up? Everything is great. So I see Mars and Saturn. It's like Saturn is riding in the back. So Saturn is like the mob boss. And then Mars is that crazy hitman that's just driving. Like, don't worry, we're going to get you there. And then Saturn's like, no, actually, I want you to take a left. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take a left. Like, so Mars like thinks they're in control and Saturn is really the one calling the shots. So again, like Saturn is a planet that is thinking long-term, big picture. Mars wants what it wants yesterday. So you have two very different energies, but they can bring a lot of conflict if they're not dealt with correctly. So Mars moving into Taurus is really causing us to take our time to slow down, which Mars does not like.
Yeah.
So this may be a time of frustration. This may be a time where, based on the astrology, we're still going to be in our feelings. We're still in Cancer season. So really grounding ourselves. I know it's like, why? And then, just tears. So grounding ourselves in what is instead of what isn't is going to be essential in us not losing our shit, basically. Yes.
That is going to be so hard for me. The lovely, always delusional Pisces. Oh gosh, I can't even have a realistic thought to save my life. Everything I think about is so abstract.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. So then, Mars and Taurus is going to be like, okay, but how? And also, when are we going to do it? And you're just like, no comment.
That makes so much sense though. That literally, because I've been doing that all week. I actually went on a retreat this weekend and I was doing like intuitive work and my guides were just like, well, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I'm like, okay, but how? I've been searching for the how the entire weekend and they're just like, no, you just got to do it. And I'm like, okay, but how?
Right. How are we getting there? Yeah. Mars and Taurus is definitely going to help with the how. Whereas Mars and Aries right now is like, I don't care. Like you're missing the point. Is it done? Versus Mars and Taurus is like, okay, yeah, we want it done, but like, let's get it done correctly. And let's really make sure that we are putting all of our effort and energy into this. Or maybe if we don't have all the energy today, like, let's just do it again tomorrow. So it's, again, like the journey versus the destination. Whereas Mars and Aries is like, we had to, this was due 3 weeks ago, even though it wasn't. Like,
it's like
but
the
we're
taxi game. It's like, I'm getting there, but my car is wrecked. Like,
yes, exactly. I've hit everything on the way, but I did it. I made it. Yeah.
I love that. I love how you're describing Mars. It made me think of like any Jason Statham movie.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like Mars definitely has like short guy energy, like short man syndrome, where he's just going to blow up at any given moment. And yeah, Saturn is in the back, like he's the boss, like chill. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry, boss. You're right. Like, my bad. Like, let me take a minute. Like, that's absolutely their relationship with one another. So it's always fun to reflect on that. Yes. There's also Mercury the same day, which astrology loves to throw everything at us all at once. So on July 5th in the morning, Mars moves into Taurus, and then like mid-morning afternoon, Mercury, the planet of communication and information, moves into Cancer. So yay, more emotions,
crying, just more
crying. We're going to be
conversation
crying.
is crying. The conversation is
yep. Yes. Basically, it's like, yeah, what to expect from July 28th or from June 28th to July 28th? Crying. Just tears.
Yeah.
Lots of tears.
I think also too, it's like, you can't just logically communicate about things anymore. Like, you're going to be feeling your feelings. You're going to be forced to feel the feelings. Right. And like,
yes,
probably with the Mars and Taurus, it's like, take some time, figure it out, then communicate it, you know, like, how is this feeling for me? Okay, this is, let me take a day.
Yes.
I don't want to say anything I'll regret.
And that's exactly it, which Mercury in Cancer, everybody has to be very careful, because Cancer is the crab. If we remember, crabs go side to side. They do not move forward. So Mercury in Cancer is very good at being passive aggressive, not very good at being direct. So we have to definitely buddy up with Mars and Taurus and just take a beat. Like, before I say something that is going to get us both in a bad place, let me take the night, sleep on it, and then I'll come back and cry and share my feelings. But yeah, definitely watch any passive aggressiveness, because it'll be quick, and then we're like, oh nope, we're gonna stay by it. I stand by it, and then scuttle away like a crab.
I was just making all those faces because my partner is Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising, and I've been telling him, like, you're actually more passive aggressive than you think. And when you said, I'm like,
oh yeah,
funny that you say that, because I have like the opposite. My boyfriend is an Aries Sun, Aries Moon, Cancer Rising.
Oh my God.
It's like rage tears. It's like, why are you yelling? First of all, why are we yelling?
That's my Aries Moon. Why are you yelling?
Mine too. Constantly.
Why are we yelling?
Why?
Also, why are we crying about what we're yelling about? I can't understand. You just have to tell me and not yell. Like, no yelling. Just tell me how it feels. Oh my God. But also stop crying. Calm down. It's like rage crying.
Yes. It's like, you're just based on your boyfriend's big three, like, he cries when he's frustrated, but also like, I'm crying because I'm mad. And you're like, okay, well, why? Can you just tell me why?
Yeah.
Why can't get there? Just 0 to 100. No, I'm mad now. I'm crying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's great.
I think I get that too with the Cancer Sun, Aries Moon. Like, I can't communicate. Like, usually if I'm feeling very passionate about something, it's crying. And people are like, oh, you're throwing a temper tantrum. I'm like, I can't help it. I'm crying, but I'm angry at you. And I'm like 5'1", so they're like, that's so cute. I'm like, take me seriously.
Yes, like stomping your foot. Like, come on.
You're like, I am no longer baby. I want power.
Yes, pick me up, but also respect me. Like,
And I'm like the person who feels all the feelings, but like don't ask me about them, because it's like being a Pisces sun, I feel everything, but I have an Aquarius moon and a Virgo rising. So do not ask me how I feel about anything.
No.
Like I feel this way, but we're talking about you, not me. How dare you ask me how I feel?
Or I've also seen with you where it's like, I'm feeling my feelings, and then you're just like, this is stupid. Everybody's stupid. Like, this is stupid.
Immediately. Yes. Like,
Right,
you know what?
Yeah,
never
it's
mind.
stupid. I can't even deal with this.
Literally, I'm over it in 5 seconds. Like I will cry for 5 seconds and then I'm over it. It's like that one gif from America's Next Top Model where the girl is like fake crying and then she's like,
And then yes, as soon as her name gets called, she's like, yeah, immediately. It's like, oh, I was not crying at all. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. It was a bit. The whole thing was a bit.
I love that. Okay, so what's coming up next? We get 2 of the planets. What are the other 3?
Yes. So believe it or not, Mercury's doing a lot in a month. So Mercury goes into Cancer on July 5th, but is not there for very long, because then on July 19th, so literally 2 weeks, Mercury is in Cancer, because then Mercury moves into Leo. Just as we're about to go into just as we're about to go into Leo season, which is like, good grief. Mercury is moving so freaking fast. Which I'll also say, this is like a preview, if you will. Mercury will go retrograde in not within the time frame, but will go retrograde while in Leo. Like, hold on. It'll go retrograde in Virgo, come back to Leo. So, yay.
I kind of hate that vibe. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's gonna suck. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun.
I hate that vibe.
Yeah, it's a lot. As is most of the astrology of Cancer season. So when Mercury moves into Leo, guess what? We're still in our feelings.
That's like I've heard
it's
Leo is like the inner child. Like, I want to be the center of attention. Pay attention to me. I'm very childlike.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. It's, I mean, the quintessential Leo that is in my head always is J-Lo.
I love that idea. I love the idea of me, focus on me, give me attention.
Yes. Me,
I know that like in my sidereal chart, I am a Leo rising, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
I love that.
That makes so much sense. And I'm sure like Amanda can vouch for knowing me as long as they have. And it makes sense.
Yes.
I'm always like, take a picture of me.
Yes. Yes. Very, like, especially too, like, you've got purple braids, like Leo risings are like their hair, their mane that is a huge part of who they are.
I'm always doing something with my hair as well.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But you're right. Like, Leo is, in astrology, it typically rules the house that deals with self-expression, but also children and childlike energy. So Leos can be a bit, and when I say a bit, I mean a lot. They can be, I don't like an unevolved Leo, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unevolved Leo, very immature, very much me. A super fantastic Leo who has undergone so much growth is like, yes, here's how I feel. Now, what about you? How can I help you? It's like they're using that shine. It would be like J-Lo using all of her power to then like shine the light on somebody else. But that would never happen for J-Lo, because J-Lo is J-Lo.
I learned she like basically just stole music from people.
Oh yeah.
She has never done anything for herself. Like, I saw that whole, who was the other celebrity that like her Chiron is, I saw that whole TikTok thing and I was like,
you were like, what?
It's her and Ben Affleck are like, their relationship is literally written in the stars. They're both Leos.
So that's why they got back together.
That's exactly why that's exactly it. Astrology brought them back together. Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot.
Nuts. I remember being like 8 when they were a big deal. I was very young when they were.
Oh my God, yeah. When Bennifer, the first edition was happening. Yeah.
It was a big deal when they broke up, and then it was a big deal that he got with another Jennifer. And like, it was all just astronomically like insane. everyone was freaking out.
Yeah.
But then again, that was like early trash TV eras and all of that too. So peak time to be alive.
Yes, it was. It was magical. Yeah, Bennifer first edition. That was great. I did prefer the second edition with with Jennifer Gardner, I believe.
Yeah.
He did her real dirty. And
The
I was
Electra
like
years.
so pissed. She's a national treasure and should be protected at all costs. Her Instagram gives me nothing but peace. She just bakes. Like she makes bread and is like, I don't know how to measure. And I'm like, oh, Jennifer, like you little thing.
I just think about 13 going on 30 and how that radicalized me. So I always think that she deserves the best.
Because she does. She absolutely does. I think she's an Aries, but now my brain has to go confirm that. But yes, another episode. But sorry, super sidetrack. Mercury and Leo. The energy that we're looking at, we're still in our feelings, but really Mercury being the sign of, or the planet of communication, Leo, as we've established, being all about the self. What are we leaving unsaid? How can we use this time and this energy to bring like what we need to the surface? So are we really speaking about what we need? Are we really talking about what no longer serves us and what we're ready or who we're ready to leave behind? Like Daisy had mentioned, like we're ready to shed those people. Are we going to rely on that energy and say, you like, what have you done for me lately? Nothing. Okay, bye. Like,
wow. Yeah.
Are we going to do it? Or
yeah, I like that a lot. I think like just because in numerology, July is a 7, but when you add 7 and 2022, you get 13, which 1 and 3 is 4. So numerology always breaks down to like the smallest thing. 7s, of course, are always about luck, prosperity, fortune, things like that. But a 4 is also about structure, community, building those sound foundations to set you up for success. So like July, we're going to be looking at a lot of things about keeping security both in the self and monetarily, like what things make us feel grounded, what structures make us feel secure. A lot of focus on kind of like home and family and your career, taking care of those things that are priority in the first half of the second part of the year.
I love that. And I love that you were saying like the Mercury is like a little bit in Cancer, then a little bit in Leo. And I see it's like, I'm feeling my feelings and now I want to be seen, or like, where am I advocating for myself? Like, and I think that not necessarily like communication with other people, but like you were saying, Daisy, like the security, the money, like where am I advocating and speaking up for what I'm not feeling and what I want to feel? And how can I get there? Or am I just going to let like the cycle happen where like I don't do it again and then I'm frustrated or something, you know?
Yeah. And we'll feel it too, because it's like when Mercury does go retrograde, and that'll again be a sneak peek, but later episode. But once Mercury does go retrograde, Mercury will come back into Leo. So it's literally like whatever we did not mention is gonna have that moment to come up. So like maybe we have like 3 things on our list and we only have time or energy to talk about 2 of them. When Mercury comes back into Leo, we're like, oh, and another thing, like I forgot, but I'm going to mention it now. Like it's relevant again. Like we'll be bringing it up. So that's always helpful too.
The dramatic entrance of Leo. And another thing.
I'm not done. But wait, there's more. Yeah, that is Leo.
Kelly from The Office. Like I have several questions. First of all, how dare you?
Yes, exactly. We love it. Oh my God. She would be an amazing Leo. Absolutely amazing.
So what's the last 2?
Yes, last 2. So then we have Venus moving into Cancer.
Oh God, so much Cancer.
There's so much Cancer. Girl, it's it's a lot.
Personally, I've been having a great time while Venus is in Taurus because my Venus is in Taurus. So I've been having an awesome time.
Amazing.
I've just been like really feeling myself and like treating myself.
As you should.
So I'm kind of sad to see it go away.
It's yeah, for you, definitely. I feel it. Especially, yeah, like soak up all that Taurus energy that you can. My Venus is in Capricorn, so Venus in Cancer, it's just gonna be that much better. No, it's gonna be horrible, but it's fine. Everything's great. So yeah, Venus, the planet of love, going into Cancer, another beautiful, vulnerable water sign, which yeah, Cancer season brings a lot of Cancer placements where we're just like, can we stop crying about other things in our life? Please, I beg you. So this transit, Venus moving into Cancer, we are literally going to be wearing our hearts like they're going to be open and on our sleeves. Like we are just here to give. But what's very important to remember, so Venus and Taurus right now, we are very indulgent. We are enjoying, well, actually Venus is moving. I think Venus is in Gemini right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, so Venus is in Gemini. Yeah, Venus in Gemini. So Venus is just like, like, this is great. Everything is good. I want a little bit of this. I want a little bit of that. Like, is eating, like, wants the cake and is eating it too. And then Venus in Cancer, oh my God, it's like, okay, hi, I just met you. Let's get married. Here's my heart.
It's lesbian cuffing season.
U-Haul for sure. Like Venus in Cancer is a U-hauling lesbian. Absolutely. So with that too, like what a wonderful analogy to then ask, like for the energy of Venus in Cancer, like what is realistic versus like, what do we think? Like, you know, like my therapist beautifully asked me one day, you know, hey, what did this person say to you? And I'm like, oh, well, they said that I was a piece of shit. Like, oh my God, they really said that? I'm like, well, no, they said that I had some things to improve on. And they're like, okay,
but
so
my
that's
Aries
different. Exactly.
I get it.
My Aries moon is like, you need to try harder. Okay, got it. Like, understood. So it's, what are we what's actually happening? What is really being said? What are we really feeling versus what are we telling ourselves? What's the story that we are believing and choosing? Like, this is my truth, or is it the truth? Like, which is it?
Oh gosh.
I
have the hardest time discerning that as a Pisces, of course. I think everything is my truth, but my truth is also in outer space. Like I live completely differently than everyone else. I'm like always up here. Yeah. So,
and I feel like with Cancer, like both me and my partner are Cancer sun, and like he has Cancer rising. We have like, there's a tendency to just take everything personally. So I think like when it's involved with like love and relationships, like you said, like, did they actually say that? No, but I felt like they literally like stabbed me 32 times and left me for dead. And it's like, all they said was my pizza was okay. And it's like, that was a cut so deep.
That was a personal attack. Yeah. The one TikTok audio that's like, did you just stab me?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. That's definitely going to be the story too. Like, no, they cut me and it was horrible and I was bleeding. It's like, oh no, they just said that their pizza was like fine.
Yeah.
Instead of like the best.
Shiny new shell crab to like the one with the like cigarette and the
yes.
They hurt me so long ago. It's like, it was 3 hours ago. It's okay. You're fine.
Literally. Yeah. Or like the is it the video or like a GIF or something where the crab like gets a knife and it's just and it's like ready to go. Yes. That is any placement in Cancer that has been slightly inconvenienced. Like, don't you fuck with me. Yeah, it's great.
I like love that. I'm so glad that I won't be the only delusional one around here for a change. I feel so seen.
Oh yes. All of the feels. I think any water sign is gonna, like, they're so consumed by their emotions that our emotions can tell us anything and we believe it. It's really hard to discern what is and isn't. Like our facts are not feeling, or our feelings are not fact, but when we're feeling it, that's not the case. That is definitely not the case.
Definitely.
So what's the last one?
Oh, the last one is the sun moving into Leo. So then we get in, we leave Cancer season and we move into Leo season on July 22nd. So yes. So Leo season, really all of Cancer season, as we can hear, has been asking us and challenging us to really confront what is no longer working for us. And then the sun moving into Leo is very similar energy. So like, hey, we've, like you were saying a little bit ago, Amanda, like, hey, we've sat with it. We're connected with our feelings. So like, now what are we going to do about it? How is this really going to help us? How is this going to help us reflect and move forward? But being grounded in, again, what's really happening versus what myths are we telling ourselves? I think with Leo season, I really actually don't believe that we tap into our own energy enough. So I always think like Leo season is the time for the self. Me. Like if there's ever a time to be about you, it's Leo season. And just making sure like that means like taking care of yourself. Like, hey, have you done the thing that you really need to do, but have been putting off? Are you taking care of yourself? Like basic needs. Cool. Yeah. Okay, now make a JLo entrance. Like do what you wish. But yes.
I love that. And so we had the full moon. What is that, July 13th?
Yes, it is. So July 13th, we have the full moon in Capricorn. And the full moon in Capricorn is the first full lunar cycle that will be closing in 2022 because of the new moon in Capricorn in January. So this is really like the astrology for that moon is head versus heart. Like that day on July 13th and really a few days before and after, we are going to be confronted with like reality check after reality check. Yeah. Yay. I would honestly say, yeah, I know it's like, ooh, okay. I think I could be biased as a Capricorn, but I definitely feel Cancer season, Capricorn season, like new moon, full moon, the hardest. Just, it could just be my personal placements, but I always feel like that's the time I'm most emotional and that's when shit hits the fan the most. Capricorn is also the opposite sign to Cancer. Cancer rules the moon, and Capricorn, a Capricorn moon is to Cancers, the Cancer moons, you know, emotional, open, vulnerable. A Capricorn moon is closed off. Like, hey, I didn't schedule time to cry, so I'm not going to cry. Like crying time is not until like 7:15. It's 7:01. Like I can't cry right now. So it's like, it is closed off. It can be seen as very cold. It cares more about logic than it does about feelings. So especially with this full moon in Capricorn, we are confronting again, like what's happening, what's reality, what is our brain telling us versus what is our heart actually telling us? And do we feel like if this is feeling impossible to move forward, then maybe we need to take a second instead of just rushing into something or moving before things become crystal clear.
What do you feel, Autumn, for this full moon?
I mean, there's a lot of things that we're kind of course, coming out of. I have like pulls for the elements as they are. So I kind of go in the order of water first because I'm a water sign, but I usually do water, earth, fire, and then air. So with the water signs, the card that we have is embracing flow. So this is like a good time to just kind of let things happen. Water signs surrendering to flow, just like you would surrender to waves or anything like that. Just kind of letting things happen and not being in the need of having to know or control it, because water, of course, is very unpredictable. Just being fluid in this time frame will really serve you well, and kind of not getting hung up on all the changes that are happening, because they're going to happen regardless. So you might as well just let them instead of getting caught up on them and kind of letting them overwhelm you. So for water signs, flow is the really big key theme that we have. For earth signs, we have fear in reverse. So dispelling fear, essentially, asking yourself in this time, what am I afraid of? and why is what I'm afraid of fake? Saying
Excellent
what I'm
question.
afraid of is fake. What I'm afraid of, I don't worry about, and clearing that fear energy out is going to set you up for success. So like being scared of like monsters under the bed as a little kid, monsters are fake. Your fear is fake. Your fear is you kind of limiting yourself, and getting out of that fear and getting out of that limitation is going to obviously put you in a much better place to get better and do more. So for earth signs, we have to like really dispel fear. Earth placements in general, dispelling fear, which I myself as a Virgo rising am working on too, because I hate just about everything.
Yes.
So definitely dispelling fear.
I feel like it goes too with what Bre was saying around like the logic versus the feelings, right? Where it's like, where am I just creating like, oh, well, this can't work because blah, 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 instead of I'm afraid and that's why, and I'm just making up stuff, you know?
Yeah. For fire signs, we have pain, which looks kind of scary, but I think that it's more so about dispelling the emotional pain. Again, my boyfriend rage crying.
Yes.
Dispelling that emotional hurt for fire placements, because apparently there's a lot of it. I mean, you going 100 in the fast lane and you've been crashing into things a couple times. So you've got a couple bruises.
Yeah.
You've got to assess it. You've got to bandage yourself up and get discharged from the hospital or whatever. Or you broke a bone, you got to fix it. So really getting out of kind of emotional pain and also facing up to the pain that you may have caused other people. Holding accountability is really big, especially like I know my boyfriend all the time. He's like, no, I didn't do that. And I'm like, I just watched you do it.
Right.
So being accountable in owning up to kind of what part you've played in things that have gone not necessarily the way that you've planned as well. And the pain that you may or may not have caused other people. It could be also pain that you inflict upon yourself. We are our own worst critics, you know, like you can be saying mean things to yourself. You can be hurtful to yourself. So kind of facing up to and assessing where pain is felt for you. That's like big for fire placements.
I like that too, because I think like, especially like I have Aries moon and it's very Aries to be like, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then like you say one mean thing to me and I'm like, no, you know? So it's like knowing, being able to like own up to say like, yeah, I fucked up. Like, I'm sorry, I did that. And like, that's really hard. And I think like the first thing when you said pain for fire signs, Bre, let me know if I'm wrong on this, but like, I think fire signs, that's like kinky. Like we need that to like feel alive. Like pain is like how we feel. Like the body is so important for fire signs. Like feel tired, to move the body.
Action.
So I feel like it's kind of like a temperature check. Like where's the pain? Where are you feeling it? Like let's feel that.
Let's address it. Yeah, I love that too. I like that you've like brought it into that realm too. That it's like, ow, but in the hot way.
Yes, like it hurts so good. Like that's definitely what I'm getting, where it's like, ooh, like, oh, did that hurt? Like, yes, but keep going. Don't like, that's fine. It's like
icy pain.
Roasting yourself, like, ooh.
That's
and being able to laugh at it. Like, I mean, like obviously like physical comedy, laughing when people fall, I do it all the time. I can't help myself. I can't, but like we're going all around in and about pain in all these different facets. And then lastly, for air placements, disruption. As an air moon, I completely hate disruption. I think air signs, as we are all very logical, analytical, we hate disruption as a whole. I cannot stand anything not going to plan. I have my planner, I have my calendar, I have my color-coded system. I have like all my ducks in a row, and the moment one duck is not in the row, I feel like dying. So with air signs and air placements, it is all about embracing that no matter how much it hurts. Kind of similar to going with flow.
Right.
Kind of similar to things are not always going to go your way, and you do not need to have all of the answers. And I feel like as air signs, a lot of the time, we need to always have the answer. We need to always have like the right answer as well.
Yeah.
And it's looking at, there is no right answer. There is no explanation. You don't always have to explain yourself or over explain yourself. So like being okay with being wrong, being okay with being interrupted, being okay with things kind of falling out of place. Even saying it right now, I'm like, I want to throw up. But that is something huge that's a lesson there, especially in air placements, being very head-based, logical, analytical, like constantly thinking, philosophical almost.
Yeah.
Understanding that there is going to be disruption and you can't avoid it, and turning that disruption into something better, because the disruption could be a lot better than you planned originally.
Yeah.
So embracing the change and embracing the friction that comes with that kind of collision. I have like a friend, one of my friends always says, collision causes clarity. And that's kind of like, it does, like when things kind of are at that low point, you kind of see everything around you and you can kind of make that choice of which is the best way to go. So definitely like a lot of themes around disruption and being okay with things falling out of order or not fitting in that perfect little box.
And I also like that this full moon in Capricorn, like you said, is the first one to close the cycle. And thinking back, like maybe if you're air sign or you have strong air sign placements, like you made your plan for the year and you logically understand where you want to go, and now you might have to disrupt that plan now that we're here. What worked out, what didn't work out, like where can I change and make it for the better? Like be realistic. Can I actually achieve this goal by the end of the year at this point? Like no, so I like that. I like the collision causes clarity, because I feel like all what you said, but also what I was seeing when you said that was like, you're worried about all these things and then this big thing happens and you're like, okay, these things don't actually matter. Like this is what's important to focus on. Like I was worried about this and this and this and like now that my car is crashed, like what actually matters, like
the actual fact hits you, and the actual fact hits you harder than the bus that hit Regina George. Like it just lands. They're disrupting now. They're like teaching us the lesson.
They're like, literally, they both have dreams, and then they will get scared in their dream and wake up, and I'm like, nothing's happening. It was your dream. Like, chill out. It's very cute, but also very
disruptive.
Yes, it's a bit annoying, but it's fine.
Awesome. So anything, like any fun fact, anything you want to add before we end for this June 28th to July 28th cycle?
I don't know if it's a fun fact.
Go ahead. If it's a hot take, that's fine.
It is a hot take, which I think any fixed signs, so Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, poor babies cannot get a break. And this whole Cancer season, Leo season, basically everything we've talked about today is going to be putting a lot of pressure on those placements. So if you have any in your chart, any Leo placements, any Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio placements, those are going to be feeling it, to say the least. And then a special sprinkle razzle dazzle moment for our cardinal signs. So that's Aries, Capricorn, right? Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra. They're going to be feeling it in addition to Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, specifically on that full moon in Capricorn. But for the all of Cancer season, all of Leo season, our poor fixed sign babies are going to be. Fixed signs have the biggest challenge with change, with disruption. So like they are they're being confronted the most right now and are being challenged. Like, do you accept the routine that you're in? Is this routine, this rut that you found yourself in, is this okay? Or are you ready to do something about it? So these placements are going to be the most going through it the most, to say it as nicely as I can. Yeah.
I just watched the new season of Umbrella Academy and I'm just like,
me too.
Gotta be like Klaus, like just going with the flow.
Oh.
He's like, whatever, I died 50 times. Who cares?
Cool.
Blah, blah, blah. Like,
yes.
That's what it's all about. Literally just being like, oh, well, if it's my time, it's my time. I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yes.
Like,
exactly.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. Also, I'm sorry, just the last thing, because you just mentioned the Umbrella Academy. I also watched it all this weekend. Based on their birthdays, they're all Libras. I don't know how I feel about that. And I have to I literally want to go now and look back on the show and find all of their birth cities and literally make their hypothetical birth charts, because I'm like, there's no way they're all fucking Libras. That is insane. But just what is in my brain.
Yeah, there's no way number 5 is a Libra. I can't.
That's what I'm saying. No. I mean, they all care about what's right and what's wrong, but their morals are all very different. 5 has different morals than Klaus. Very different. So that's true.
I don't trust it.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Oh my God. My hot take, I'm roasting myself, not even astrology. My crush in the show is number 5. And it's my partner's he's a 12-year-old boy. So that's appropriate. And I was like, the actor is over 18.
I looked it up.
To be 60. I looked it up. I'm like, I don't care if he looks like a little boy. They just dressed him that way. I'm like, the way his eyebrows look at you when he's judging you is hot.
I love 5. 5 is my absolute favorite. Oh my God. I did have to look though, because after I was obsessing over him last season, I'm like, is this allowed? Do I need to
looked it up. I was
is this allowed?
No,
yeah, I'm like,
is he 16 or under 18? I need to look this up. And he's actually in his 20s. And
it's
I'm
an adult. Yeah, I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay.
I need to know so that I can keep thirsting in peace. Leave me alone.
Pining
morally,
after.
I can separate this in my mind.
Yes. Because if not, then I'm gonna be real conflicted when I watch this show. Uh-oh.
That's funny that we both have the Aries moon and the fire signs are 5 is hot.
Yeah, we're anybody who's just gonna rage, and we're
I'm please condescend to me more.
It's the recklessness. The recklessness is
oh my God,
is so intensely you can't duplicate it. It's the recklessness is oh, this is fun. You're fun. Not only do I like you because you're reckless and you're attractive, but also that means you're fun.
He's fun, and he also goes you want to talk 0 to 100 real quick. Aries moon. 5 is a beautiful embodiment. You don't fuck with 5.
Yeah.
5, I'm oh, you don't know.
And I have
you silly person.
I have Gemini Venus, and he's really, really smart. So I'm that's already freaking hot.
Intellectual. It checks
so intellectual. We love it.
All the boxes.
Well, just Autumn, do you have anything you wanted to mention or hot take? It's okay if you don't, or if maybe you just want to share your Umbrella Academy crush. I don't at this point.
My hot take is going to be a Stranger Things hot take.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't think that Chrissy deserved to go. I believe in Chrissy rights. She should have stayed alive. I love her.
I mean, it's a hot take for a reason.
Everyone's ew, I loved her. She deserved better.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed. I haven't seen this most recent season, and I am I should be shunned from the internet because I don't get any of the Chrissy jokes, and now I understand why.
I've just been doing the Chrissy wake up.
Yes.
I don't like this forever. But even then, also, if I have to hear Running Up That Hill one more time, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I love Kate Bush. Having an older sister who was born in the 80s, like, of course I know all of these things. But if I have to hear it one more time,
yeah,
I'm literally going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
It's a great song, but like,
yeah.
we all know why Max played it. Max wants to switch places with Billy. We all know she misses her brother. If I could, I'd make a deal with God, get him to swap our places. She wants her brother back. Like, we all know that. And it's sad, but please don't play the song anymore.
Also, too, I was like, wait a minute, what song is this? When everyone was like posting, I'm like, which one is it? I'm like, I know this song from like some other movie or something. Like, it's not the first time it's been used.
It's in Pose.
Okay, yeah, okay, exactly. So I was like, I just heard this song. Like, this must be from something else. Thank you for that. But like, okay, we get it. You weren't watching the queer shows about POCs and you didn't see the song from Kate.
You also like are trying to keep a song that is over 40 years old at this point. That is physically impossible.
Yeah.
Like, really, Stranger Things is like obviously millennial and like Gen Z TV. We are not gatekeeping a song that is from when our parents were in high school. We can't do that, guys. No.
Yeah, the whole show is literally based in the 80s. Like, they're gonna play 80s music.
Yeah. I don't know. People are weird. They just want to be like, I knew it first.
It's very, that's like they keep girl boss, but like
a little too much.
The song is 40 years old.
Right.
So what are we really doing here?
Girl boss and way too close to the sun. Bring it in.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
I'm just gonna post every day like one really old song, like I Knew It Before You, like Louis Armstrong or something. I knew it before you.
Louis Armstrong.
Even though I was born in 95, I knew it before you.
I did too. The song was sing to my, like, this song was the song that played when I came into the world. That's it.
My mom played this for me in the womb.
And I've known it ever since.
Thinking about like September by Earth, Wind and Fire and how everybody does the September means, I'm like, actually, I knew that in the womb.
Love it.
We were actually in the womb. So my partner, we were talking about like, oh, what concerts did your parents go to while they were pregnant with you? And like Autumn knows Frankie, like he's like very emotional, very like sad boy. Like the first concert, his mom said she went to a Sade concert and he was in the front row. And I was like, this is a theory now. Like the songs that you heard at the concerts you went to is who you are. And I was like, this is very indicative of you.
Wow.
Now I have to ask my mom.
Yeah, you should.
I literally, because my mom is a Sagittarius. So my mom.
You went to many a festival.
Yes,
as a child.
I need to know, because I know that my mom's first concert, which is so cool to think about, my mom's first concert ever, she was like 12 and she went to see the Jackson 5. So I know that like she has some stories.
That's amazing.
I know she does. So I'm just like, now I want to know like where you went, like when I was like around, like where'd you go? What'd you do?
Yeah, it's so indicative. And like his brother, I don't know if it's the first one, but they were saying like she was pregnant with his brother and they were at a Rolling Stones concert and he's like loves snowboarding, drinking. Like, I'm like, whoa, is this a theory? Like, is this a real thing?
I love that. They say in astrology, you get your moon from your mother. So maybe it also has to do with other things.
I'm a Pisces sun and my mom is a Pisces moon. So that's kind of funny. We're adding
We're adding elements. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes.
This
I can
is
say
good
is
food for thought.
Much more to think about. And
discuss. Oh, and this would be really cool. So I just thought about this now. But I already have for everybody, since we're like ending the podcast and stuff, I already have the form in our link in bio and I'll put it in the show notes. But if you want to like ask an astro question send in like some astro thing that you want us to roast, or like if you find out what the first concert that you listened to in utero, imagine you go to see your parents were seeing the Nirvana in utero album in utero.
I can only think about like now, and I can only think about like pandemic babies and how like people our age are having children. And so like I can only think about someone like a baby, an infant baby whose mom was like at a One Direction concert, and and I want to know what that child is like now.
Not well. The child's not well.
Not well.
I'm not well.
Yeah, they're not.
I need to know right now, and I need to know right now what that child thinks of Liam Payne.
Oh my God. I have so many thoughts on Liam Payne, and they're like, he's a disaster. Which most of One Direction also astrologically, because of course I've looked into this, I was a One Direction. Well, I took my cousin to One Direction concerts, so that obligated me to like some of them. They're all earth signs, and then Harry is the only Aquarius. Like they're all earth signs. So they're all just stubborn as all get out. And then Harry's like, hey, I can do some other, like I can be flexible if you want. And everyone's like, get out of here, Harry. Like just, I know. He needs to be protected at all costs. I love Harry.
I would love to do like a hot takes about like, or like roasting people's placements. I would absolutely be down for that.
Okay, so we'll plan for that for next episode. So even if you want to submit, who do you want us to roast? Who do you want us to look up? The link is in our bio on our socials, and it'll be in the show notes. This will be really fun. And I just want to say thank you for being here, for agreeing to do this. This was really fun.
Yes.
We clearly have so much to talk about. Which is good. Like this is for a whole month, so it's going to be a little bit longer episode. But yeah, until next time, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you love Witchy and Weird podcasts, support us by donating monthly for as little as 99 cents at anchor.fm/witchyandweird/support. You can cancel at any time, and 100% of the proceeds go directly to the pod. Or if you don't want to commit to a monthly donation, buy Amanda a coffee at ko-fi.com/wishyandweird to help fuel them while they record, edit, create, and upload content for the podcast. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and tell your witchy and weird friends about us too. Bye!